everybody. So every time I play that song, when I put it on, I'm like dancing over here. You guys can't see, like I'm dancing to that song to the countdown. Um, so hey, Glitter Queen and Annie and Dr. Doodle. Um, so anyways, I don't know how many people are going to be here today, but we were just talking, me and Sarah, we're talking behind, before we came on here. And it's we're just gonna be winging this, and hopefully I'm kind of nervous. I just don't want to. This is such an important matter. So today we're having on a girl that is named Sarah Pike, previously Sarah Leva. I don't. So she had her kids taken from her from the state of Texas when she was living in Virginia, and she had an order that was a mediated order between her and her ex-husband. They had an agreement, and basically she's going to explain her experience and the corruption that I'm going to be saying allegedly, because this is her story and this is her experience. I haven't experienced it. I just have gone through several documents and videos, and she's very open and honest, and she is willing to take any question. Because I even asked her back there, I'm like, is there anything you don't want me to ask you? I don't want to, I don't want to say the wrong thing. And she's like, no, not at all. Like, God is, I have faith in God that everything's, he won't let me. Hi, Slink. So yeah, we have tons of videos of her hearings, and we're going to go over, and we have articles on Tarrant County, Texas. There is a lot of people claiming corruption in Tarrant County, Texas, with, children get taken and illegally, and she is able to explain it so much better. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and add her. And okay, hey Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So basically, do you go by Sarah Leva Pike, or do you just Sarah Pike?
I just go by Sarah Pike. I feel like my
Sarah
husband
Pike.
has earned that. He's a pretty amazing man.
Yeah. So anyways, where should we start in this situation? Do you want to give
you like me to just do a
backstory?
brief overview starting at
Yes.
the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. I do want to preface this to anyone watching, and I think it's going to get added to the comments later.
Oh no. So we can't hear her right this second. Right when she goes about to start talking too. She'll come back. This happened when we were, maybe if I remove her and re-add.
Oh, am I still here?
Okay, there you go. Sorry. Okay, so you were starting to sorry.
Oh, I was just saying I'm happy to send an email of any evidence backing every word I say, if anybody wants it. I have an email already compiled for journalists, influencers, whoever wants it, law enforcement, just so I can back up every word I say. Okay, here it goes. Basically, my ex-husband and I, we were married in Virginia. He was actually Virginia National Guard. He was stationed up in Northern Virginia for 2 years. The boys were both born in the state of Virginia. And we had some issues with our marriage. I don't really go into what he did, but because I want to focus on the corruption of the courts, because that's where the real issue is. But it was bad. And he told me that in order to fix things, that we had to move to Texas, that he was just depressed, that he just missed his family. And once we moved, our marriage would be just fine. So I moved to Texas, and I don't have any friends or family there. And he filed for a divorce. He waited 6 months to make sure Texas had jurisdiction over our children. And he locked me out of the house. He cut me from all of our bank accounts, and I was just really screwed. And I got a really fantastic lawyer, and she went over everything. And one of the first things she said was, "Wow, he's really abusive towards you." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, and she asked me, she's like, "What do you want?" And I said, "I just want to go home." I was like, "I don't care about his money. I don't care about his pension. I don't care about anything else." So moving forward, we start the divorce process in court. And it was really bad because Nick refused to give any of his finances. His own lawyer actually quit in the middle of the hearing. She looked at the judge and said, "I can't work with him. He won't communicate with me. Please, please let me off this case." And she walked out right in the middle of the hearing. It's actually kind of amazing because other people, were seeing what I was seeing.
Wow,
And
I don't
I'm
remember
sorry.
you telling me that.
No, I didn't mention that part. Sorry, my cat wants to join. Let me put him down. So all that happened, and as I had told my lawyer, I just wanted to be able to go home to Virginia. So we wrote up a mediated settlement, and it was non-revocable, and we got a court mediator, and he signed it of his own choice. He chose to sign it, and the reason he chose to sign it, because again, it hit his finances. He only had like $400 of child support for 2 kids and worked for Northrop Grumman, if anybody knows who that is. He really got off completely easy, no financial anything. And I filed my proper 60 days notice to move back to Virginia with the courts and with child support. I also told him, and he threatened me, and he said, "If you move, I'll make sure that I'll destroy you, and I'll take the kids, and you'll never ever see them again." And so, of course, I move anyway, and I get to Virginia, and this was in 2016. So we were in Texas only 6 months in 2015. I immediately moved back to Virginia as soon as the mediated settlement and our divorce was finalized. It was also ratified by a judge. Not that that's necessary, because with private contracts, you only need 2 people and a witness. So we were this is a legal document that cannot be changed. And I get to Virginia. First thing he does is he files a kidnapping charge against me. And I call my lawyer, and my lawyer is like, "No, she didn't kidnap. You agreed to this. You chose this so that you could keep your money. So, you have to live with it." And the case was immediately dropped. And between April and July, I didn't hear anything from him. And then the first week of July, he sent me an email, and he said, "I'm coming to get them. You better hand them over or else." He was supposed to pick them up on June 15th for their visitation. So this is going to come into play later with violations. So he was over 2 weeks late, and I just got this nasty email. And so I called him. I called him probably 20 times. I blew up his phone. I called his girlfriend. I called his mom. I called his dad. I called his brother. I called everyone trying to get a hold of this person. And so what he does is he shows up at the police, and he demands the police help him get the children. And my lawyer actually contacts the police and says, "No, that's not part of their mediated settlement. He's not supposed to take them." And they send him home. He goes back home to Texas and tells everyone, his entire family, that I'm refusing to let him see the children. Still has not called me or contacted me. Fast forward, he kind of just deals with the mediated settlement, and we start doing regular visitation. He did have the boys for the 2 following summers. And not only did he have them for the following summers, he also had them for the full 3 months. Basically, if they weren't in school, I did everything in my power to make sure he had as much visitation as possible. It's also important to note that he would come and visit them in Virginia as well, at my parents' house and at my house. And this is important because in the affidavit that he did for our trial, he stated that he had no idea where the children were for 5 years. There's pictures of him at my house. So he just flat out lied about a lot of stuff. And in August of 2018, suddenly out of nowhere, he hires this woman named Lindsay Newell. Lindsay Newell, his attorney, end of August, filed what's called motion for enforcement. On this motion for enforcement, she committed aggravated perjury, which is a felony offense. She stated 2 violations to our mediated settlement. First one, she stated that I kidnapped the children and took them out of Tarrant County illegally. And the second one, she said, is that I refused to hand him over July 6th in 2016 for visitation, both of which is a lie, and neither one was against my mediated settlement. What's really crazy about it is that she filed it, and Matthew Reek, who is an associate judge under Judge Becca Bennett, he signed it the exact same day before I even got a copy or had a chance to get a lawyer. She then files a change of parent custody, again, stating the exact same violations that she filed as enforcement, asking that Nick get full custody of the children. She also states that she requests for jurisdiction to be changed because it wasn't there originally, to Tarrant County, Texas. So basically, she lied about one thing, saying I was breaking it, and then requested what I was supposedly lying about in this paperwork. So I hire an attorney. I say, the boys have been here for over 2 years. According to federal law, their home state is here, and I'm also protected by a contract. So we go to a jurisdiction trial under Patricia Bennett. I walk in the courtroom, and this judge obviously had made the decision before I even walked in. I was not allowed to say anything negative about him at all. They flat out lied in court and made it sound like the boys were living in Texas. They're like, oh, they have a doctor in Texas. They have a school in Texas. They've never been to school in Texas. I had all their records for school here in Virginia. And the judge actually argued with my attorney as though she was Nick's lawyer. And at the end of it, she wouldn't even let my attorney cross-examine Nick. And she looked at me and she said, I don't think you know what co-parenting means. I'm going to know this court's not going to allow jurisdiction in Virginia, case dismissed. I was completely railroaded. And about this time, they filed for discovery, and they were just going to, try to nail me down. I had to take drug tests. All my drug tests were negative. And I took a look at the affidavit that he filed. His affidavit, he accused me of being a prostitute, being on drugs, of threatening him with a gun, because somehow I did that from the state of Virginia, and for hiding the children for 5 years. And again, he's been to our house plenty of times. They had plenty of visitation. That was not the case at all. And on the bottom of the affidavit that he wrote, which is a testimony, it wasn't even signed by a notary. He had just taken somebody's stamp and stamped it on the signature line. So it wasn't even a legal document. I start speaking out about Judge Bennett and about how blatantly biased she was, how she disregarded Texas statutes, she disregarded federal law, and she disregarded a contract. And I go to final trial pro se because my original attorney he was very kind, and he just straight up told me, he's like, there's nothing I can do against a judge who's corrupt. He's like, I can't take on a judge. That's not something I can do for you. So I'm in there pro se, and I did not do so well. And the judge they brought in was Judge Catterton. So basically, they brought in a judge who retired in 2016 to hear our final case instead of Bennett.
Is this on YouTube too, or this Catterton case?
No, that wasn't recorded, but I have the transcripts for it. So
Okay.
I can provide the transcripts of the case. And during this entire hearing, first of all, he states that he has never in his life overheard a hearing that he had no knowledge of. He said in 26 years that he had been a judge. I'm sorry, my cat's really friendly.
That's like my cat. My cat is like always up in my business.
Yeah, but he said in 26 years that he had no knowledge of the case. And then, in my opinion, with extreme bias, asked Lindsay Newell, tell him what the case was about. And she was like, oh, she's crazy. She's not letting my person see his children. She's harassing him, just all sorts of lies. And she kept trying to use Facebook posts to say I was crazy. And then she looks the judge in the eye and she says, well, Your Honor, she refused to take her drug tests. And at the time, she was holding my negative drug tests in her hand. Because when you take drug tests for court, they don't go to you. You don't turn them in. They go straight to the attorneys. So I took my drug tests. They were negative. And then she lied, bold-faced to a judge and stated that I refused to take them. My ex-husband went on the stand and he pulled this number. He said, Sarah is such a good mom. I know she really loves her children, but she has borderline personality disorder and she refuses to take her medication. I'm afraid she's going to hurt them. Okay, I'm pretty much a single parent our entire marriage, and then a single parent when they were in my custody. He never assisted with anything. He only took his visits. And I have never been diagnosed with any type of condition other than general anxiety after going through, my children being kidnapped. So, yeah, it was a blatant lie, and the judge knew he was lying. And at the end, he stated that Nick and I and the children seemed to have a communication issue. So I was not found any fault with me, no fault with me, knew he was lying on the stand 100%. And the judge was like, in order to promote better communication, I better give Nicholas Leyva full custody and establish, which is an important word. He said establish jurisdiction in Tarrant County, Texas. So they want to establish jurisdiction where they didn't have any to begin with. And I, of course, refused to sign the final order. I didn't know a lot at that time. And I just was like, I'm not signing it. And they came at me, and I had posted motions for a mistrial. I had posted complaints. I had started talking to people. I really did everything in my power. I did everything the right way, contacted the state attorney's office, contacted the state commission. I've actually had 3 dropped cases with the state commission because the state commission is covering up the felonies of judges. So I really did my homework, and that's when I started writing my own motions. And I called the district clerk to set a hearing, and they lied to me. The district clerk said, we're going to do all the hearings at once. So their motion to have the final order signed is going to go with your motions and yada, yada, yada. So I fly out to Texas the first time, or like the second or third time at this point. It's probably the third time. And I had this advocate, and this is why you have to be so careful about advocates. I had an advocate email me the number of an attorney, and her name is Stephanie Holland, and I hired her the night before that hearing, the night before the motions I had put in and the motion to sign the final order. And the first day she did great. She showed up, she was there at 8 a.m., and we prevented the order from being signed because Lindsay Newell had failed to do the paperwork properly because she was so confident I wouldn't notice because I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't have a lawyer at the time. Literally got a lawyer last minute. And so the final order was not signed on that day. However, even though the final order was not signed, Nick and his mother flew all the way out to Virginia. Well, I'm still in Texas, so I haven't even flown home yet. And they start looking for the boys. And then they come back to Texas and say that I broke the final order, that I wouldn't hand them over when the final order was void anyway. But it hadn't been signed until after they were back in Texas. And my attorney just told me to keep quiet. She was like, it's okay. No one's going to take your children. You didn't do anything wrong. And she really just told me to be quiet. She placated me. She kept me quiet until the day they took my children. She told me to come in for a hearing on January 27th of 2020. And this hearing was supposed to be against my ex-husband and to fix our custody according to our original agreement. I get there and they immediately arrest me. They hold me under unlawful arrest. There was no warrant. They just basically put a police officer on me and threatened me. And they're like, are the kids hurt? Where are the kids? Where are you hiding them? We think you're abusing them. And it was just an onslaught of attack. And my children were very safe with my parents. My parents were babysitting them because obviously I don't take them to court with me. And the judge looked at the court reporter and told the court reporter saying, hey, you need to go off the record. So the court reporter goes off the record and then walks into a back room and makes a private phone call. I'm going to answer that in 1 second. That is a great question. It's not so much money, it's more friends. And I'll get to that in 1 second. But yeah, so she goes into the back room and she makes a phone call and she calls some random judge in Virginia. There's no court hearing, there's no nothing. And that judge issues a fraudulent warrant to a sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office gets a no-not warrant to yank my children out of their house. So they show up at my parents' house, yank my children out, and then Mary Beth Adcock, Nick's mother, shows up in Texas and then traffics them to Texas, and I've literally never seen them again. I've never held my children again. I don't get any pictures. I don't get any updates. Like, they've completely hidden them. And in all this time, I've kept fighting. I have blocked to seal my records. I proved in a hearing 3rd-degree aggravated perjury. Okay, I proved it. And child kidnapping and trafficking, again, proved it. And the judge dismissed all of it. She just flat out was like, I dismiss that, and you need to pay attorney fees for your ex-husband. So it's just absolutely insane. The question, so Nick had a top security clearance, military clearance, and he worked for Northrop Grumman. I don't know if he still works there, but he was a big IT guy there. And his mother also has a security clearance and works for the FAA. She works for the Federal Aviation Administration. And she actually helps these judges with their campaigns. She donates a lot of money. She goes to their lunches. She goes to their dinners. So all these people were friends with her. But what happened to me didn't just happen to me. Tarrant County has ripped children out of Florida. They've ripped children out of Oklahoma. These same Judge Wells, the last judge I had, because I now have one judge committing 3rd-degree aggravated perjury on a document, and then I have 3 judges recorded in hearings, all committing felonies. And I can send copies of those. But I just want to see my children again. Like, they haven't offered me any type of deal. They had a hearing after I proved 3rd-degree aggravated perjury. They had a hearing behind my back. Basically, that's called an ex parte hearing. It's when the lawyer and the judges talk to each other, which is illegal. And they made me a vexatious litigant. And they're trying to charge me $20,000. And they also have a habeas corpus over me. And what that is, it's a civil warrant. And they have 39 violations, all posts, all me speaking out, or most of them are. And they're asking 6 months in prison for each one on a civil warrant without a jury. So I'm sorry, that's a lot. Like, I just feel like that was so much. I just rattled it off.
No, it's so. Can you explain? This is yours right here. Is this this one right here is yours, right?
It's the documentary that Channel 27 did. A really kind man in Illinois heard about my story and came and recorded a documentary.
And this article is about basically other cases of corruption, right? In Tarrant County against Judith Wells and Bennett, who also was on your.
Yep. Every judge pretty much has touched my case at this point, and every single one of them has broken the law. Judith Wells, Lindsay Newell, and Christina Borum. Christina Borum and Lindsay Newell are the attorneys that are attached to Nick. They literally traffic children. Like, I have a case. It's called Brad Lamb. If you want to look it up, it's on the article that she posted. But as a guardian ad litem, Lindsay Newell intentionally placed his children with a pedophile. And I'm talking hospital records of anal abuse, black eyes, outcries by nurses. And these children are still with that pedophile. And these 3 individuals are doing everything in their power to keep it hidden. And they're the same 3 individuals who kidnapped my babies. But it's not just them. Like, what I need you guys to understand is that Texas itself is trafficking children. I had the state attorney for the state of Texas contact me and say there was nothing he could do. I had the governor's office contact me and say there's nothing they could do. Ted Cruz's office said there was nothing he can do. Congressman Burgess said there was nothing he can do. The Texas Commission, Judicial Commission, I have filed 3 separate cases and they have dropped all 3 of them. So the state of Texas is assisting judges in trafficking children. They are intentionally doing nothing. It all comes down to title funding. So title funding is whenever a kid is in a courtroom or there's a divorce or custody battle. First of all, Texas gets 12% of all child support. It's a really high number. Second of all, they get title funding, and especially in Tarrant County, they get title funding from men's groups and men's grants. And so they will intentionally put it in the favor of the man, or I think they honestly do it intentionally to the worst parent. They intentionally place the children with the most difficult parent so that the other parent keeps coming back and keeps fighting to try to protect their child. And they break the law to do it. It's just horrific. And it's the entire state. Not a single person has even offered me victim assistance. And Sharon Wilson and the sheriff both know about both of these cases. And Sheriff Wayborn and Sharon Wilson both cover up child rape. They cover up child trafficking. It's one county of these people that all work together to fund the county. And it's millions. If you look at the financial records through the civil court system for Tarrant County, they're higher than any of the counties around them. So
what happened with your social media accounts and like Twitter or Twitter and TikTok, like specifically?
Well, TikTok, I hit 40,000. I was doing really well on TikTok. And then I got permanently banned. No warning. No, hey, you broke this violation. I've not seen my kids in almost 2 years, not 5. But it's still a really long time. Yeah, I was banned after hitting 40,000. Again, no reason. It just said your whole thing is against our community guidelines. And then Twitter also banned me for life. And I get banned a lot for harassment because trying to talk to my children again is considered harassment. And then Facebook, I'm just banned every 30 days. I'm probably out of Facebook jail for a day or two, and then I'm banned again.
So explain how you have this supposed supervised visits at the courthouse, but yet
So that's my favorite.
Because you'll be arrested if you show up in Texas.
Yeah, so in one of the hearings, they didn't comment on how Nick won't answer his phone because I've asked to talk to them for birthdays, for Christmases. I have consistently sent out emails saying any day of the week, anytime. I just want to tell my children I love them. Please let me know. And he has never, ever responded. And in a court hearing, his attorney said, well, she says she wants her children, but she hasn't done anything in 2 years, despite the stacks of motions and hearings that I have fought through. And she also says that I never take up visitation. So my visitation, and again, this is retaliation, and my own attorney set this up. Okay, Stephanie Holland belongs in prison for for taking wages for disservice because she completely worked with the courts. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, when I pin things up on here, it's just so I can.
I got distracted because I read it. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. We were talking about
supervised visit. Yeah. So my supervised visit is 1 hour a month.
All the way in Texas.
All the way in Texas inside the courthouse. And they have that civil warrant where they're trying to arrest me. So they're sitting here threatening me with arrest, torturing me, refusing to let me talk to my children, and then saying that I refuse to go and do visitation. There's no winning. It's all psychological warfare. It's just attack after attack after attack. And there's no help. Nobody will help me, and everyone knows about it.
Explain what the civil warrant is about. Did you say already? They're basically about...
Most of them are Facebook posts. Some of them are saying that I refuse to hand them over, but they're all in 2019 when I had an attorney, and they should have been talking to her, and my attorney was telling me to keep quiet. I was just doing what my attorney was telling me to do. And this whole time they're saying, she refused to hand them over this day. She refused to hand them over that day. But nobody called me. Nobody contacted me. It was just made up dates of when I supposedly didn't hand them over in 2019 that they added to this list of violations.
And Millie, I'm going to link all these things. We have Zoom hearings here. We have articles. I mean, I don't know, show some documents. I don't know. It has to be, I'll ask Sarah what could be shown, but yeah, all the public stuff, like the hearings are all on, we're going to watch some of them and stuff. So, she can comment on what's going on. I guess I could go ahead and play a little bit, which gives you a few minute break on, that documentary that was done, where somebody came out and took
Channel 27 in Illinois. Yeah, they came out and did a documentary.
Yeah, so
Richard is the name of the person who.
Yeah, I'm gonna give credit to all of all this stuff that I'm showing. It will be in the description, and I really want to show a little bit before. So her parents talk in this documentary. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And if you hear crying in the background, it is Sarah, because she in the documentary, and it's so sad. Oh my gosh, it hurts. It breaks my heart.
It was the first time I heard what happened from my parents' point of view, and it was just,
yeah, it was horrible. So let me bring that up real quick. Unless there's anything real quick that you wanted to.
Not unless somebody has questions.
Somebody said, would Project Veritas help?
I have contacted them multiple times and I've never heard back from them. So literally, if they exist, they know. Like, I've contacted every media outlet in Texas, every media outlet in Virginia. I've contacted influencers. Yes, Texas is a single party recording state. And I didn't make any of these recordings, so it can't be held against me. These recordings were done by another journalist. They just sent them to me when they were done. I don't know who it is. So, yeah, I just want to make it clear, I did not record any of my hearings. But again, even if I did, I'm still protected by the Whistleblower Act of 1989, where if someone is committing fraud or civil violations, you are fully allowed to record them in order to protect yourself. So either way, it's all good.
Someone wants to know also, how can we help? Like, where does she go from here? Oh gosh.
I don't know. I really don't. That's the problem. Like, they made me a vexatious litigant, so I can't even fight for them. I have an attorney that is willing to help me, but she doesn't know how. For the same reason, you know, these judges are committing felonies, and an attorney can't do anything about that. So I think that we got to push the attorney general. Like, we need to fill his office up with calls and letters and whatever it takes and say, hey, you are making money. Because right now the attorney general is, number one, committing IRS fraud because they're taking money out of the child support, out of anything that could potentially go in my bank account. And then they are also committing fraud through child support also by just taking it without, you know, a legal agreement to do so, even though they know that it was taken through perjury, you know, through lying. Yeah, the evidence was sent to Project Veritas. I have an email, as I said, I'll send it to anybody who wants it. It is very thorough, and I just keep adding to it because I just keep getting more evidence. I even have evidence of the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers told me nothing illegal happened to me. They didn't even look at it. They literally emailed me back in less than an hour. They just cover it up. They also covered up Brad Lamb's case where his children are being raped. So the Texas Rangers are also fully knowledgeable and fully involved, which is heartbreaking to me because I thought they would help.
Oh, wow.
It's not just one judge. That's the problem. I have 3 judges recorded committing felonies. R.H. Wallace, who is an administrative judge at like a top 48th one. David Evans, who is basically over all the civil courts, have him recorded. And Judith Wells obviously is recorded, but she's retiring next year. I think they're using her for all the bad cases.
Yeah, we're going to see a little bit of the Zoom hearing from David Evans' case and the Wells. Yeah, you're getting a lot of love in the comments, like, for sure. And, you know, guys, if I can, I'll contact Project Veritas and send this over to them. I mean,
no, I appreciate it. I'm sure that they've got a lot of stuff with Trump and things going on. The problem is I think the whole world is just collapsing and people don't care about one mom wanting to see her children again, you know?
Chasing Justice says, I'm willing to help any way you can. Chasing Justice, like, the best way, if you're a YouTuber, which Chasing Justice is, and she has a great voice. She has a voice for it. She has a great, I mean, I love listening to her. If you could have Sarah on sometime, Q Carlick's supposedly supposed to have her on Thursday. So the only thing she has right now is basically social media and letting, I mean, you know, people here on YouTube. I mean, hopefully, I mean, unless they decide to shut down anybody's YouTube that's interviewing her, I don't know.
I don't think they can do that. They might remove videos though, but so far, I mean, you found my video. So far, they haven't even removed the hearings. So I don't think they can, unless there's like hate speech or you say threatening. So it's multiple judges. The judge that they're using as their little slaughter lamb is called Judge Wells. And she has a mountain list of complaints and things against her. Oh yeah, I talked to congressmen and senators and governors. All of them said, like, Ted Cruz, this supposedly conservative man who fights for rights, right? He straight up was like, I'm not going to get involved. Yeah, talked to all of them. I actually bought the Texas directory, which you can buy for $250. And I have consistently been emailing every single staff member from the very top to the very bottom. So that's all the way to the governor's office, lieutenant governor's office, every single agency, every single law enforcement, every single senator, every single congressman. So every person in the directory of Texas, every single elected official, I have sent the evidence to. And any response I get is, we can't get involved. So all of these people know.
I'm going to put, if it's okay with Sarah, her email, and I guess we can mention. What's your email? Do you want me to share?
Miss Borum is a attorney for Nicholas right now. She works for the Borum law firm. And not only is she liable, but her entire law firm is liable for the perjury. And it's called misprision of felony. If you're a public official in law enforcement and you witness a crime happening and do absolutely nothing, you're held liable for it. You could be held, you could go to jail for it. If you're aware that a felony is being committed and you have the power to do something about it as an elected official and you don't, it's called misprision of felony.
And so, is that according to like an attorney?
That's a federal law.
I mean, no, you were saying as an elected official, you mean judges?
Anyone who's an elected official. So it's law enforcement, like the sheriff, the district attorney, because she's elected, any judge that was elected. So not the associate judges, but the main judges.
So this is Q Carlock on the screen. She says, good morning. We were just talking about you, Q. Are you still having Sarah on Thursday? That would be awesome if you could, because we're trying to get this spread. And what's your email, Sarah? Is that okay to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't put it in the chat. I'm going to type it into the private chat so that you can copy it. Okay. That'll probably be easier.
Okay, so while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of this documentary here from Fighter Cries. You just type in, you can go to their website and it's on here, but I will definitely share the link of this. Everything we're speaking on is going to be in the description, because anybody who wants to help,
just tell people. I want to be able to, I said, just tell people. That's the best way to help. Yeah. Is, you know, there really needs to be a public outcry for this particular county. Also, if you get a chance, anyone gets a chance, look up Journey's Warriors. Journey is another child that was kidnapped by Judge Bennett, the same judge who kidnapped my children. And there's a lot of people fighting for her too.
I'll get that email.
Oh, I don't really YouTube. Sorry. I just randomly post videos. Maybe eventually I'll get to that. But with everything else I'm doing, I just don't have the ability to commit to that right now.
Okay, I'm going to give you about a 5-minute break here, and we're going to watch this. And then you're going to, if you can, comment on what you see here. By the way, if you want me to stop anything while it's going, just let me know if you want to comment on it. So I want to, because I want to give people, like, it's, you know, a little more background where they see these Zoom hearings, they see this, a little bit of this documentary, these articles and stuff, so they understand, like, what you've been through. I mean, not just from your word of mouth, but also from just, you know, these people, everybody witnessing it themselves. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll just be like, hey, tell me.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
What are they doing this down there?
I look so awful. I have PTSD so bad. Well, I can't say specifically, but I very strongly, again, it's not just mothers. I want to make that clear. I want it to be mothers and fathers, because there are so many fathers that are being targeted in Tarrant County as well. And this is not a gender issue. This is an issue where children are being put in harm's way on purpose by these judges. And then that is defended by Sharon Wilson, the district attorney, who is not carrying out her job to protect, but rather using her job to keep the children in the system. What happens when a child is in the system, that state receives federal grants. In addition, they receive money through the Attorney General's office, through the IRS, normally in the taking of child support. As in my case, the Attorney General's office is committing extensive IRS fraud, number one, by continuing to remove money from my tax returns, and number two, for taking an entire year of child support from me when the children were not with Nick at all.
After speaking with Sarah, we took a long country drive out to speak to her parents, Sharon and Michael Moran.
From the time they were born, because they mostly lived in Virginia, until the day they left, they spent a lot of time here. We loved to babysit them and just have adventures. Outside is their yard boots. They would go stomp off in the creek and just play out in the yard and run with the goats and just have a grand old time, play with the chickens. They just love being out in the country and being free and just creating adventures and games, and was not unusual for them to come in and say, come play with us. They come up with some new game to play. So,
Yeah, they love to play Star Wars game. Anything with Star Wars in it, they just.
Since it
Oh,
stopped.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know either. I was just going to say, my parents are amazing individuals, and they have supported not just me, but also Nick. The only reason that Nick even got the job he got the security clearance, is my dad set him up. Nick was a college dropout pothead when I met him. He was a pizza delivery driver who was going nowhere, and I got pregnant, and my dad set up his entire career for him. And my parents have also not been allowed to see the boys. Like, they haven't held their grandchildren since they were kidnapped from their house. So,
Dang it. Okay, well, hopefully it will stick.
have a grand old time, play with the chickens. They just love being out in the country and being free and just creating adventures and games, and was not unusual for them to come in and say, come play with us. They come up with some new game to play. So,
Yeah, they love to play Star Wars game. Anything with Star Wars in it, they just totally adore and love. So, Grandpa, let's play Star Wars.
They just love being here. We just loved having them here. Since they were born, they have spent weekends at this house, just playing outside, playing in the stream, playing with the animals. They loved riding their bikes. They learned to ride their bikes here.
Now, tell us about the day that the sheriffs came out here and took the kids away. What happened? Start from the beginning. What happened that day?
Sure. Well, it was already stressful because we knew that their mother had been called to court, and we were helping watch them while she was in a different state, going to court in a different state. And I just wanted to help them have a happy day and keep their mind on positive things until their mom came back and they found out how things were gonna be for them. So we just got up in the morning, had some breakfast. Usually it was pancakes because they love to make pancakes and eat pancakes. And we went upstairs and we were just in the library reading some books, goofing off, and talking about what we were going to do for the day. And Mike had gone, I think he'd gone to work, and all of a sudden we hear this ruckus. It was terrifying, and I just tried to keep them calm, and I tried to find my phone, which I did, and trying to think, what to do. I didn't know what was going on, and next thing I know, Mike's back home and bounding up the stairs. Well, I heard someone bounding up the stairs. I didn't know right away it was Mike, and he said that the police were outside, and that they wanted to take the boys. they were here to take the boys. And I'm like, what on earth? What on earth? And I'm like, well, they're not even dressed. My mind just started going to the practical stuff. Like, they're not even dressed. Like, they have to get dressed. I'm not going to think about anything till at least they get dressed. And so I guess Mike had talked to the police, and they wanted to see the boys. So we walked over to the balcony, and they saw the boys. We got dressed, and I was just trying to think, how can I make this not so bad for them? Just to be taken away by strangers, and just have not even knowing what's going on. So I got dressed, and as we're heading downstairs, I thought, well, go pick out. I love you. Each of you go pick out one of your favorite teddy bears. And we both did. And we went downstairs, and I'm like, okay, everyone needs to go to the bathroom. So we went downstairs, and we went to the bathroom, and I'm like, somebody needs to know what's going on. I'm like, this is crazy. And I had my phone with me, and I tried calling their mom. A lot of this is really fuzzy because it was so distressing. And she called me on my cell phone, and they were able to talk to her, and she was able to say, what she needed to say to them. And
What were the boys saying?
they were saying, Mommy, I love you, Mommy. They were just saying, Mommy, I love you. And she says, I have to go. And then, then their grandfather and I, against their will, helped scoot them along to the car.
So this is Sammy's room. So funny story. Sammy and Joshua used to share this room. We had 2 beds in here, but then Joshua had mentioned that he had gotten too big to share a room, and he wanted a room to himself. So we've got a big house, so we decided to set up another room for him. Sammy was a little upset at the beginning, but then he was so funny because Joshua snored. He goes, "Oh, now I can sleep because Joshua's in the other room." So it was really funny. So this was Joshua's room. He was very quiet. He liked to do a lot of thinking, and he liked to do art, and he liked to kind of get some time to himself. So he'd hang out in here, and he'd do different projects and stuff. He loved looking at the stars. So we had gotten him a telescope. So had a good time with that. It was funny because we had a futon couch in here, and we offered to put a bed in here, but he said, "No, I like the futon." So we set up a futon with him, and all his favorite animals and stuff are on the bed. To have the police come to your house unannounced and just demand to take your grandchildren, it was just totally floored me that the situation had even gotten that far. I mean, the boys had been out in Texas several times visiting during the summer, and Sharon, in fact, we had gone out of our way to. Sarah had been working and couldn't get the boys to Texas one Christmas, and Sharon went out of her way to fly there, deliver it, took a taxi, delivered the boys, took a taxi back, and flew back home to get the boys to Nick for Christmas. So this was totally, we didn't know what was going on. So they basically they were getting very hostile as we were trying to get things ready. And again, you get interrupted first thing in the morning in your daily routine, and the cops just want to take your grandkids. What are you going to do? You got to have some time to process it. So we got in the car and we followed them. Actually, they followed us. I guess they wanted to make sure we didn't run. But they followed us to the courthouse, and we were ushered back into this little room with the boys, and we were there, and they offered us some drinks, and then there was a child advocate who came in and was talking to the boys and was talking to us a little bit, just trying to comfort everybody. And then court appointed somebody, I don't even know who it was, came in and said that she needed to talk to the boys, and nobody could be present. So it was just her and the boys, and they went off and they talked for a little while, and then they came back, and then they moved us to a room with some toys and stuff. And so we had put all our stuff down, and we were sitting in there, and we were talking with the boys and playing with them and keeping them all happy. And they didn't know what was going on, and they were upset. And we thought we were just going to appear before the judge and figure out what was going on. And what happened was they came in and they called us in, and the boys were left in the room. So we went into the court, and the judge asked us our names, basically told us that the kids were being sent to Texas with their grandmother, and you can leave. It was one of the worst days of my life. It's terrible. I mean, in the morning you have your grandchildren, and in the evening you basically don't know if you're ever going to see them again.
Hey, I wanted
It's a
to
double
comment real
wound,
quick, if there's a chance. So I noticed in the comments a lot references to CPS. I just want to be very clear that CPS was not involved in this at all. They are corrupt, and they are a private company. So anyone who didn't know that, they're not law enforcement, they're not government. Please give them the middle finger and tell them to get off your land. Don't actually give them the middle finger, but because that's bad advice. But like, when they tell you they have a right to do something, they actually don't, and they're a private company. So just be aware of your rights. I had no home study. I did not have a psych eval. Actually, they did absolutely no investigation whatsoever. Any evidence I had of their lives here was thrown out. They wouldn't accept their their report cards from school showing that they were both straight A students. They threw out every testimony by coaches, by counselors, by teachers. They refused to let the children show that they had any life in Virginia whatsoever. They buried all of it. And they tried to say the boys had always been in Texas. That was what they tried to stick to. And they threw out any evidence that contradicted that fact. So
That's true. It didn't make sense. Like, Virginia had jurisdiction, but they should have had. I mean, the boys were there, and I know this personally, just from my own experience. If they go by the last 6 months.
Yep, and it was over 2 years. Plus, we had a non-revocable mediated settlement, which is a contract. I never broke that contract. So even if he came after me in Virginia, the courts had no jurisdiction to take my children because I never broke the contract. No. So it's like it was illegal on multiple levels, not just on the fact that, I wasn't even proven unfit in any way.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I found over 27 felonies on the judges. And the other person said it's right. Like, I'm not dealing with CPS. I'm dealing with judges committing felonies who have immunity, which is disgusting. The federal law actually states that any judge who outside of the bench and acts outside of the rules that they are placed under, that they are considered a traitor, that they are not a judge, and that them sitting in that seat in itself is a felony if they breach Texas statutes or if they breach federal law intentionally. So all of these judges in Tarrant County, they're just bad court actors.
So I played what pretty much, unless you can think of anything else from the documentary like you want to watch, but I really wanted to. I played most of the parents interview anyways. And that's what I wanted to show, because that's even more people, talking on, it's not just your word. This is other.
No, parents, advocates, school teachers, my boss, no one who has seen the evidence has, and they don't even tell me. If you look at any of the court hearings, they even admitted to perjury. They're like, oh, but that was before the new final order. No, if you commit perjury to get a final order, that is a felony, and that makes that order void. It means that it doesn't mean anything. And they admitted to perjury in a hearing, and I have that recorded as well. And it just doesn't matter. Nobody will enforce the law.
And they're wanting to give you 6 months each for each Facebook post that you made, basically just saying, how unfair and corrupt the situation
Speaking
was.
out, yep.
Yeah, for
Some of
speaking
them
out.
were prayers. Some of them didn't even mention the kids. It was just like, God, watch over my children. They wrote that up as a violation.
Yeah, I know. I read some of their violations, and some of them were ridiculous. Some of them didn't even really, didn't even make sense, like why they were counted as a violation, because it wasn't.
They want me in prison. They want me to shut up.
Yeah, so it was like 29 violations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that?
39. 39 is the
39.
So there's something about 39, and I don't know what people believe spiritually, but I've noticed this in a lot of cases. 39 is like a magic number. And 39th Mason is a thing. So I wonder if that plays into it. That's just conspiracy talk. There's no evidence of that. But I've looked at other cases, and they do the same thing. It's 39 violations. Like my friend Reedy, as I said, this is happening to a lot of parents. You can look her up. She was Miss India in 2018. She actually won the beauty pageant for Miss India with a bracelet, like one of the jail bracelets on her ankle when she won Miss India, because she was accused of things that she did not do, and all the criminal charges have now been dropped, and she's proven that they weren't true. They've also made her a vexatious litigant, and she hasn't seen her 3 boys in the same, I think, 2 or 3 years either. She gets like 1 or 2 minute video chats every now and then.
Tarrant County also?
This one is not, but it's still Texas. So, and she's commented to all the same people. The Attorney General did the same thing. The Attorney General of Texas, okay, Ken Paxton, Brent Webster, and John Passmore. John Passmore sat in the hearing where I proved 3rd-degree aggravated perjury, and then filed into the case protecting the judges. He sat through the whole thing, and he's a officer to the Attorney General.
So basically, I just wanted, with those 6 months, if you times 6 months times 39, that's basically like 20, almost 20 years in jail or prison. Yep. So, but she's given supervised visits.
1 supervised visit.
Yeah, a month, all the way to Texas.
No other communication, no updates, no pictures. Yep.
She can't go there because of these,
And also part of the trick is when you sign up for supervised visits, part of the requirement is that you have to sign a document agreeing to their jurisdiction, which I will never do. I'm never going to say what they did was right. I'm never going to sign something, because then they'd just be able to keep doing what they're doing without any legal repercussions. So that's another trap.
So what was their reasoning behind just giving you supervised visits once a month?
Because I hid the kids for a year. All those violations in 2019 where they said I wouldn't hand over the kids, yet nobody called me, nobody contacted me, and my attorney told me not to do anything. So that's why they did the supervised visits, for all the made up times I didn't hand the kids over in 2019.
But they didn't show, there was no proof of this. I mean,
no, there wasn't proof in any of this. Again, I'm happily married to a wonderful man. I was accused of prostitution, drugs, threatening him with a gun, said that I hid them for 5 years despite all the visitation he did and having them literally every holiday and for the entire summer. Like, he made it out like I was a parental alienator and that I wasn't letting him have contact with the children, when in actuality, I literally would contact him every single week and be like, you going to talk to them this week? Like, can we set up a day? And what he would do is he would intentionally not respond, and then he would randomly just call me and say, I want to talk to the boys right now. I'm like, hey, like, you need to give me at least an hour heads up. They have soccer practice, they have homework, they have this, they have that. Like, just let me know. And then he'd say, well, you're not letting me talk to my children. Like, everything about Nicholas is control. He took my children so he could be in control. He wanted to hurt me as much as he possibly could. But again, he's not the issue because he should have never been allowed to do it. It doesn't matter what he does to me or the children. The issue is that we have elected officials that made it happen.
I like this hashtag Sarah's Army. I thought that was so sweet. Sarah's Army. Truly believe there are satanic undertones to these
Absolutely.
horrific actions.
Absolutely.
Sarah's kind of mentioned that. I mean, she's very godly. So, she's basically now all she has left with is faith in God that this is going to.
You make it sound like that's the worst thing ever. I'm literally taking on judges and I haven't been arrested yet. I think God's proven himself just fine. I think I have more than most.
No, I don't think that's what at all.
God has done
that's plenty.
a lot of miracles to protect me.
No,
just the fact that those recordings are out. I mean, just the fact that he played it. That's amazing.
You're not allowed to file any more, right? You're not able to file any more motions or anything.
I'm a vexatious litigant. So right now, they got tired of me winning the hearings. I won every hearing as far as the law goes and as far as facts go. The judge just continued to dismiss it. And I even caught them having the judge and his attorneys were talking privately. They were talking, like texting each other during one of the hearings.
Wow.
Yeah, it's never been about the welfare of the children. It's never been about doing the right thing. It's none of that. Whatever reasoning they had, I'm not going to pretend I absolutely know for a fact why they did it, why they chose to target me. But it's just so unbelievable and it just needs to stop. It absolutely has to stop somehow.
So I was going to show a little bit of one of the earliest, and by the way, I absolutely do not think, it's when I said like your belief in God, like I don't think that's.
Oh, I know that, Ziggy.
I just mean that you were backed in between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, yeah. God saved my life. I don't know. You hear about parents who commit suicide every single day because this happens to them or to their children. And
yes, exactly. It's torture. It's abuse. Like I've mentioned so many times to Sarah that it's abuse on the children, not to.
It's torture according to federal laws. It's also the federal definition of domestic terrorism. So it's considered domestic terrorism if you're using your position to basically inflict any type of torture on anybody who's under you. Oh, I wasn't an easy target. So I might have been easy target because I was out of state, but I feel like that makes it harder because the police and the sheriff and the DA all work with the judges. Like they actually assist in kidnapping and trafficking children. Like they will target parents and put them in jail for absolutely no reason. The police are all involved in Tarrant County. Every single last one of them know. And I just lost my train of thought again. But yeah, all the police are involved. They all know.
I need to stop putting up comments when you're talking because I know.
No, it wasn't that. I was reading the side comment actually.
I was looking at Annie Dom's update on she was talking about how I guess she had her kids removed also or something.
Probably by CPS. I tell everybody this: if CPS is sniffing around your home, you can replace your house, you can replace your job, you can't replace your kids. It's very hard for them to come after you if you go to a different state. Just go somewhere else, leave no forwarding address, change your phone number. Because again, they are a private company, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to get enough evidence on you. Their goal is not to help your children. Their goal is to find enough evidence of you in order to take your children and get that $3,000 bonus for the county. Because that's what happens. Every single month, your child is worth $3,000 to the county if they're in CPS care. If they have a disability, they're worth like 4 to 5. So, yeah, it's just stay away from CPS. They never care about children. They leave children all the time who are being horribly abused on purpose in horrific homes. They choose to leave children with pedophiles.
Sorry, I keep putting up messages, but I don't want to. Somebody said, this is why I moved. Texas tyrants. Oklahoma mom.
Well,
you Oklahoma mom.
So one of the moms who had her 2 boys kidnapped, they were kidnapped out of Oklahoma. So Tarrant County can definitely reach in there if they want to. They took her 2 boys and they took all of her custody rights away. No reason. I
And once
mean,
again, is there,
bug the attorney general until they do something. Bug the state commission, because I feel like they're the only 2 people that could potentially be high enough up to do something at this point, because everyone else is going to protect themselves. You know, any of these judges go down, the DA goes down, and just like, I don't know, post stuff on their Facebooks and stuff, because that's what I do. The disgusting thing about Texas is that all of these people claim God. They claim that they're Republican, and they're not. They just use it to get elected. I would have voted for Judge Patricia Bennett. I listened to her campaign speech, and one of the key things she said is judges are made to uphold the law. They're not there to make the law. And I love that. That's true, and that's how it should be. And yet she kidnaps my children and commits 3rd-degree aggravated perjury on court documents. So these people are presenting themselves and using the name of God, which is blasphemy, in order to traffic children and pad their wallets. And they're all go up for re-election in September. So my goal is to, at least, if I can't get any justice, at least destroy their campaigns so that they're taken out of the position that they're in, and hopefully somebody new can come in and do the right thing. Because Sharon Wilson is running again for district attorney. Betsy Price, the mayor of Fort Worth, is running for judge. How scary is that? So the mayor, who's been covering up all of these crimes the judges have been committing, is now running up for judge herself, so that she can also commit them. So
I think I know the answer to this question, but just for others, and
go ahead.
What do you believe would be justice in this situation? Like,
I don't think that is my determination to make. I want children to go home. I want them to be safe. I want my children home, obviously. And I want the people that are in power to be removed from the positions they're in, to lose their law licenses. I believe that vengeance belongs to God. And, if they don't repent, they're gonna be in even more pain than I'm in right now. Like, I almost feel bad for them. They're literally destroying their own lives and their children's lives. And I just want to protect people. Like, I just want them to be prevented from ever doing it again. And the rest of it, I guess, is up to whoever tries them. It's not my choice.
let's say that the judges did. I mean, if you were given 50-50 custody, would that make anything better for you?
Absolutely not at this point. No. He's hidden them for over 2 years. He's proven he's unwilling to communicate. He has abused them. He's abused me, not only physically, but obviously intentionally tortured me. I think that for his protection, he should have supervised visitation until he learns how to communicate with me. And I would ask for free visitation where, it's just another person of my choice. So it could be a counselor, or it could be like one of my parents. I don't want to prevent contact with Nicholas, but I absolutely do not want him to have the ability to have the control or take off with my children again. Literally, my biggest fear is that I'll get close to justice and he's just going to grab them and disappear. He's not even sorry. How can 50-50 be possible?
I mean, but at least in that case, you would be able to see your kids, hopefully.
That hasn't even been an option. Like, I can't even get a phone call.
That's true.
So I feel like the whole discussion is invalid because it's not an option.
Okay, so let's watch a little bit of this. I was just asking,
No, it's fine. I do feel
like,
very strongly about it. How would you feel about 50-50 custody with someone who raped your child? Do you think that you should get along with them? Do you think they should have 50-50 custody?
No.
Exactly. Like, this man has done horrific things to my children and to myself. Why would I ever agree to that?
Wow, I didn't know about that part. Sorry, but
well, no, he didn't rape them, but that was just an example. Like, if somebody took your child from your home forcefully and then disappeared with them for 2 years, would you want to share custody 50-50 with them? Do you think that's safe? Like, he cannot be trusted. He is a predator. Exactly what she said. He is a predator. And it's not just me. He abused other women before we were married. Like, if God got a hold of him and, he wanted to make a real change. But I can't co-parent with someone unwilling to co-parent with me. Like, He'd have to be willing. They are now 8 and 10. They were taken at 6 and 8.
We heard that everybody and their brother is to blame for her kids taken. She really doesn't have any part besides getting the bad lawyer, just ours. I don't understand this. Do you understand this comment?
Oh, no, I get these all the time. I told you flying monkeys are going to show up. I'm pretty sure I've seen them before. No, it's fine.
You recognize this person?
I don't recognize him specifically,
Oh.
but anybody who, wants evidence, you're willing to email me. But, I mean, this person's just trying to discredit it, so.
Yeah, and I only mentioned that because you said you would take any comments, so don't get mad at me.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's not one lawyer when a judge is committing a felony. That's all it comes down to. He's just trying to say, oh, it's one person. But if you'd like to, Mike, I'd be happy to send you an email and provide all the evidence to you.
Oh, I missed his comments earlier if he did say something.
No, they are a private company. You can research it. CPS is based in a privatized company. It is not a government agency. You can look up who owns them on the back end. Presented as a government agency, though.
Well, either way, I mean, it's not in your case, CPS.
Yeah, either way, it's not in my case. And I don't know as much about CPS. I just know that there are a lot of parents that have fallen victim and have done absolutely nothing wrong and had their children taken by CPS.
Somebody said, Nick, is that you? Talking probably about Mike. I guess that's what there's.
I don't care. Like, I really don't. I expected that. I have people follow me on TikToks, on Twitter. They call me crazy. They say, oh, you don't actually want to co-parent because you want supervised visitation. And again, I just view that as protection until he's ready to co-parent. I don't feel that I should be, and I shouldn't be forced to deal with that either. Neither should my children. I think that decision needs to be made with a therapist. Like, I don't think I'm professional enough to make that decision either. I'm going to take them to a professional and, let them determine what they think might be best.
And Dr. Doodle, which I call it's just Mrs. Doodle actually, but I call her Dr. Doodle. You can, if he continues being rude, obviously, hide him or whatever. But she said she's okay with questions. I mean, as long as he doesn't keep like badgering her, then.
I only saw one of them, so I'm not even seeing them. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of there's. Well, how long has this been going on? I mean, years. So
3.
there's a lot of
I've been fighting it 3 years. I've been fighting it for 3 years. But they were kidnapped January 27th, 2020. And the last time I saw them was the 25th, just before I flew out. They wouldn't even let me say goodbye. The guardian ad litem stated, oh, well, they have a great relationship with their mother, so maybe they need to start building one with their father. And wouldn't even let me say goodbye to my kids. So, pretty awful. Again, I wasn't accused of anything. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you said there was no psychological evaluation.
Nope.
You did have drug screens done, and
they were negative. Yeah.
And that's fine, Gwen. Yeah, I mean, she said she'd take whatever questions. It's fine. It's just we don't.
I appreciate it though. Seriously, you're super nice. When you put yourself out on public media, you kind of have to expect it, especially when there are people who genuinely wish I was dead. So,
yeah,
that's a pretty benign comment he's making, in my opinion, comparatively. That's what I have gotten.
Well, that was the only one. I haven't seen any other. So, all right. Well, I'll play a little bit of this. I don't know where it's at in it.
Before you start it, I want to let everyone know. So Lindsay Newell has actually, she hit me with a cease and desist and threatened me. She threatened me. She said I was harassing her and that I need to stop calling her a child trafficker. And I wrote her back and I was like, you committed 3rd-degree aggravated perjury. Go ahead and sue me because that means discovery and it's criminal court. It's a whole nother thing. And she has just disappeared. This is the last time you will see Lindsay Newell. She is the woman who kidnapped my children. She's also the guardian ad litem that placed Brad's children with a pedophile intentionally. As a guardian ad litem, as somebody who's supposed to watch out for the best interests of the children, she gave them to a pedophile.
Oh, wait, who's Brad again? You said Brad Lamb or something? Or?
Yeah, Brad Lamb. It's little voices, big outcries. He has a federal case right now open, but he can't find her or the children. The police found them once and then refused to take her into custody and helped her hide. So it's a pretty corrupt case as well. And it's all the same people. So the pedophile's attorney was Christina Borum. The guardian ad litem for the children was Lindsay Knoll, and Judith Wells was their judge. And as you notice, they're the corrupt three. Okay, these three work together to traffic children. Lindsay Knoll and Judge Wells have been on vacation together. Like, it's a whole thing, just the three of them. And now, as I said, Lindsay Knoll is on the run, and this is the last hearing you see her in. As you see, she doesn't talk. And this is the first time I've met Christina Borum. So his original lawyer is on the run and got him a different lawyer to try to cover up what they did.
Yeah, so no, I totally like this. Totally up to the mods what they want to do about any. It's fine.
Thanks,
They
Q.
know that.
Yeah, do whatever you want, and I just want to say thank you. I'm still grateful to even be here.
I said I can't speak for you, or Annie said I can't speak for you, but I know when I have people that come against me, it really makes me stronger in my faith that true justice will be done.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like these hearings have, everybody talks about wanting unshakable faith, and I knew nothing about the law when this started. And I just picked up books and I started reading. I read the Judicial Code of Conduct, the Attorney Code of Conduct, and I realized that they had broken the law. And then I just went from there and looked up the laws. I started studying Supreme Court cases to back up my motions, just to make them really so they couldn't penetrate. It was easier for me to fight in court because I was telling the truth and they're covering up a lie. So that always makes it easier. But as you see, it's not going to matter.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and play a little bit of this to give you both of us a little let me know if you want to pause it. I have to pee again.
Oh,
but...
no, just take me off camera because I'm going to refill my coffee real quick.
That's why I took you off camera last time, because I noticed you were getting really upset. And so
yeah, I'm sorry, I was crying.
It was important to show that your parents, that was, oh my gosh. And if you weren't crying during our parents talking, then wow, I don't know how, but so yeah. All right.
Some people can hold it in.
Yeah, I guess. All right. We're going to just listen to a little bit of this.
Gives strict guidelines as to how to seal a court motions. Court records. And none of those. Number one, you did not provide a sufficient reason, and this motion should never have even been scheduled due to that. Secondly, it is out of order. Thirdly, your opinion does not supersede the law. I apologize, Ms. Borum. However, I do think that this is incredibly painful to myself as well as my children, because there are instances of perjury as well as instances of documents that were filed that were not legal, which I am attempting to address, and I have not put anything to harm Ms. Wells in any way in any of these documents. Rather, they reflect the actions Nicholas Leyva has taken to harm myself and my children. In addition, this is important to stay open because there are multiple journalists as well as multiple child rights activist organizations who are incredibly interested in this case and have already reviewed most of the files. All right. This is a public concern and it should not be sealed.
All right, what to do is, I want to Ms. Leyva's motion for April 16th at 1:30 if everybody is available.
Yes, ma'am. Are we going to hear all motions to strike or just one at a time? And then are we going to follow with the motion to seal?
We're going to hear all of your motions to strike in order on April 16th at 1:30. I'm going to hear the motion to seal today. That was set for today.
Your Honor, again, according to, I need a procedural clarification. Are the courts in a habit of disregarding these federal rules and civil procedures and doing motions out of order?
I'm not going to address that. We're going to hear it in the order that I set for today. And this motion to seal is set for today. Everybody got proper notice. We're going to hear that today. We're going to hear your motions on April 16th.
Your Honor, what about Rule 21? As far as they must state the grounds thereof, there were no legal grounds to seal my records, nor was 76A applied, which is required in the sealing of all records. There is a list of requirements that must be fulfilled by the attorneys upon sealing records. In addition, it is meant to be an open case where anyone from the public, opposing parties are able to come in and speak on behalf of whether or not they should be sealed. So if we should be moving forward to seal them, they should at least be done under the proper grounds with time for people to present their opinions in a court of law in accordance to 76A.
All right, give me a moment.
Thank you. And the validity of the motion. She presented no reason, lawful reason to seal, nor did she provide any exhibits before this hearing as to why these records should be sealed.
All right, response, Ms. Gorham.
Yes, Your Honor. The motion that was filed was properly filed. I did present in the motion that the sealing of the
Objection, Your Honor, it was not properly filed in regards to Rule 21.
All right, excuse me. Ms. Leva Pike, you must give her an opportunity to respond. You cannot cut her off every time.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gorham.
I specifically asked in my motion that the records be sealed because, as she stated many times, this is governed by Rule 76A, which says that if there's a specific, serious, and substantial interest which outweighs the presumption of openness, then the court has the authority to seal the records. Also, I did state in my motion that the sealing of this records would not have an adverse effect on public health or safety or Ms. Pike's case. I think that the arguments that need to be presented today go to the weight of my motion and whether or not the court should grant it.
Your Honor, she did not provide any arguments in the motion, and she's
not required.
twisted the language of 76A. It says it can only be sealed if it is to harm the public. Whether or not it could harm the public is not part of the conversation here. It specifically states it has to be a public issue. And the public has a right to speak on it before they are sealed.
All right. Ms. Warner.
A couple things. First of all, I believe that today's motion will be based largely on legal argument. Please excuse me. As evidence in my position is really not necessary because all that I need the court to do is to take judicial notice of the file and then be given an opportunity to point out the things that have been filed with this court that are currently a part of the public record, which I think absolutely pose a specific and serious harm to the people that are named within these documents. Secondly, one thing I did want to point out real quick, I wanted to ask the court how long we have set on April 16th. I do have a setting in a different county at 1:30 on that day, but I could certainly push it back as it's only a deposition. I would just like to know how long you think we'll need on the 16th.
We'll probably need all afternoon. Let me look and see. Let me see what's available.
I actually had a deposition set in San Antonio that day that just got moved.
And we'll give it all day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Because Ms. Pike has filed several documents, some of which I believe are improperly filed within this case. But many of these documents include allegations that the court, myself, Ms. Newell, Judge Bennett, and Ms. Lopez, and other people connected with this case are participating in child trafficking, that we have committed fraud, that we have taken part in actively trying to harm these children that are the subject of this suit. Ms. Pike, as I'm sure the court knows, for quite some time had absconded with the children, which led my client to getting custody of these kiddos. My biggest concern is that
I just want to say for the record that is not true. The final order stated that Nicholas Leyva and I had an issue with our communication, and in order to promote better communication, he wanted to try something new. And there was no fault found with me in a court of law, nor was it found that I absconded with the children, nor broke my mediated settlement in any way, shape, or form.
All right, appropriate at this time, Ms. Leyva. Please wait till it's your turn to talk. All right, go ahead, Ms. Forum. She's frozen.
Might be having some internet issues, so.
I switched over to the hotspot on my phone instead of my computer froze, which I apologize for.
So they were actually
There have
texting each
been
other.
Allegations.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's what they were doing. They were texting each other every time she went off screen. I caught it in multiple hearings. So anytime I nail them with the law in any way, shape, or form, they go and have a little private talk. And then suddenly she knows another law because this woman is an idiot and genuinely doesn't know the law at all. Borum is what's known as a family. She got into law because her whole family is in law and they all work in politics, and it has nothing to do with her ability, thankfully. But when they go off screen, she's getting a text message where she's talking to Wells or she's talking to Lindsay Newell. Because Lindsay Newell was his original lawyer, and they put both lawyers in the in this hearing, because they thought this would be the end of it and that they were just going to seal my records and everything would be done with. So, as I said, they're both there for him. They're both his attorneys.
I hate how she said kiddos. It pissed me off.
Disgusting woman. Again, she represents Carice Washington. She represents a genuine pedophile and is helping pedophiles keep their children. So Christina Borum I pray that God removes her or saves her. I don't even know what to feel about her. I don't trust my feelings, but she's a really nasty woman. But Lindsay Newell is worse. If anybody's ever seen that movie, I Care a Lot, I mentioned this to Ziggy when I talked to her. Mm-hmm. That is how Lindsay Newell operates. If you ever see that movie, she's exactly like that attorney. It's terrifying. It's like walking scary Barbie of destruction. She's very pretty. She's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, she was pretty with her when she had that long hair, but still, it's about what's on the inside. That's what. Yeah. Obviously. And I like this comment. They seal the records to hide the court's crimes against our children. Collusion.
Yep.
She's a dirtbag.
It's called RICO collaboration. It's actually against federal law. RICO collaboration is between every judge in Tarrant County, the district attorney, and the sheriff, and the Texas Rangers, and the state commission. They're intentionally protecting all of each other because they all have dirty secrets on each other. And if one of them goes down, more will go down. And that's why they're fighting so hard to erase me and not let this get out. Because it's not about the judges or about the attorneys. It's about everyone who's been backing them and protecting them for so long.
Is this Judge Wells still active?
Yes, she is retiring next year. So basically she's trying to run. I filed a RICO complaint against them, and the Attorney General denied it. The Attorney General went over their way to cover up for them as well.
I told her the same thing. Sarah, you should go to law school.
Courtroom is the devil's playground, and the law has absolutely nothing to do with the law in civil courts. They don't care about it.
Yeah.
And if I did go into law, I would do forensic law, and I would go through and look through people's documents and find the perjury in them, and then be an expert witness to help them get the truth in their court cases. But I don't want to actually litigate. I think litigating is terrifying, and I talk a lot and ramble because I'm terrified of public speaking. So nothing about being a lawyer sounds like fun.
Q says I would talk over that pitch too. Stop lying on me.
And what the judge said, you don't have to wait your turn in court. You are absolutely supposed to object. If another attorney lies, that attorney has a right to object and say, I object, Your Honor, because she just lied through her teeth. She just committed perjury in front of a judge. And then the judge was like, no, shut up, because I already decided they're going to win.
I like this. Okay.
I've done that.
Mama.
I've done that. We should just
That's
all start
good.
calling the general until he lets him go.
Yeah, I took it as maybe Okie 420 was gonna do that. Hey.
I don't know if Nick is in here because I don't think he knew I was getting on here. I mean,
No, I haven't talked to him. I
was going to say, I don't think I'm that important. I don't think my ex is watching everything.
Nancy said you did great. I bet a million Nicholas is in here. Oh, okay. So you've already.
I don't know. If he is, he already knows. I mean, you see him. He's not the problem. He's an utter coward. He never talks. He just sits there and looks like he's suffering. He doesn't do any questions. He doesn't speak up for himself. We went over visitation earlier. Basically, they have me set up for 1 hour inside the courthouse per month to visit them at supervised visitation, but I have to sign a document agreeing to the final order, which I will absolutely never do. I'm never giving them jurisdiction. I will fight this till the day I die. And number 2, they have a civil warrant over my head asking 20 years. So if I even walk into Texas, I'll be immediately arrested and I'll never see my children anyway.
Yeah. They gave her 1 hour a month all the way in Texas. Supervised.
Without finding any fault with me, despite my ex-husband committing extensive perjury. Yep. I did absolutely nothing wrong.
Oh, see, this
he's Hispanic.
Wow, she had to tell me that he's Hispanic. I didn't know.
He's a quarter Hispanic. His grandmother's full, his dad's half. And I don't want to say this about all Mexican families, but in their family, the men are horrific and they treat women horribly and they act like they're kings of the house. And that on our wedding day, his dad told Nick that all women are replaceable. He just need to make sure he kept the kids on our wedding day. So he acts just like his father. They're both disgusting individuals. His dad's actually a felon. He committed felony level embezzlement from the company he was working for. And somehow he's now a manager. Again, this family gets away with everything. So his father only had to go in for felony embezzlement on weekends. That's it. Just weekends. Never had any real prison time for what he did. And now he's working as a manager for a car dealership. And I'm pretty sure he originally embezzled from a car dealership when he committed that felony. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was doing. So they just keep breaking the law and getting away with it. I think they have a lot of friends.
She's tried. She has.
Yeah, I've tried.
Should have jurisdiction already.
Yeah, I already have jurisdiction. It should never have been in Texas.
There. The kids live there for a few years. I mean, you only need 6 months in a area to have jurisdiction. So this being in Texas is it doesn't make sense. So when it doesn't make sense, to me, that means that something's not right. I mean, I think Virginia should have jurisdiction. It doesn't even.
And it doesn't matter because we had a contract. So I never breached our contract. So they never should have been able to file a hearing in the first place. He's at Hyundai of Burleson. He's the manager there. He's Randy Levas, the internet manager for Hyundai of Burleson.
I love this comment. Sarah, you have more friends than they do.
I don't know about friends. Definitely more allies.
Yeah.
This is all I do. I actually lost most of my friends just because they couldn't, not because they were bad people, but it's hard to be around somebody who's constantly in grief. And this is literally all I can think about. This is all I talk about. This is all I do all day. Is try to raise awareness.
You should see her Facebook. It is all so she's not giving up anytime soon, guys.
No, I love my children and I'm not going to be quiet until I get to hold them again. It's just not going to happen. Like, it's so unfair. No 6 and 8-year-olds should be ripped out of their home and never see their mother again. Like, even if I was the worst parent in the world, even if I went to jail, even if the accusations were true, that wouldn't equate to the level of just cutting me off without any contact.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a race issue, but
He's Hispanic, not Spaniard. And again, it's not race, it's his family. I mean, it's
Yeah.
also his mother. His mother is just she's gorgeous, but she's ugly on the inside. She can convince anyone of anything. I think that's why they targeted me, is that she convinced the judges my children would be an easy take, that I was unstable, and she just sweet talked them into doing it. Because that's what she does. She's also the one that came to Virginia and removed them from the state. Technically, his mother committed a felony by trafficking the children out of the state of Virginia.
But I do know that I've talked with Sarah about this. I understand that the culture of Mexican men is definitely, I mean, in Mexico is definitely way different. So I understand that.
But again, he can't speak any Spanish.
Upset anybody.
You know? Yeah, he can't speak any Spanish. I don't even think he's been in Mexico except to a resort. So he's not really Mexican. You know, he's just got it in his blood a little bit. He hasn't spent any time there.
Good mother, if you gave up fighting for your babies. Yeah, she's not going to be giving up.
I don't think that's fair, because there are a lot of parents who do give up fighting for their kids who are really, really good parents, and they just couldn't handle. I don't think people understand the level of abuse and torture, and like they're my first thought every single day. The way I learned to handle it is like the Hulk. You know how the Hulk says he controls turning to the Hulk because he's always angry? I control not crying because I just embrace my grief and I just use it.
That is true. There is a lot of women that give up.
Or they commit suicide. A lot of them commit suicide. It's so sad.
I have personal experience. I didn't really give up. Well, we're not talking about my story, but I was finally reunited with my daughter is finally back with me. But I'm just saying there is people, and doesn't mean that they're a bad parent. Just that it can get very overwhelming and you can feel like trapped and you don't know. When you have attorney generals, senators, judges, attorneys, telling you no, it's hard to keep the hope sometimes.
So I don't know how much hope I have left, but I refuse to let them go on with their lives like it never happened. You know, if nothing else, I'm just going to keep poking them and not let them move on as long as they're taken. The status right now, Q, is that they had a hearing behind my back and they made me a vexatious litigant. What this means is I'm unable to file anything without a permission from a judge. And they also try to charge me $20,000, again, in a hearing behind my back, to pay to Nick's lawyer. So obviously Nick is running out of money, or his lawyer is doing it pro bono and they want to get paid. I'm afraid they're going to use that to get a criminal warrant, because $20,000 is a lot of money. As far as a lawyer, I have called over 50 to 60 lawyers. I have had other people call lawyers. The thing with an attorney is, number one, they're not going to talk to a judge the way I will. They will not uphold the law to that extreme because it's their career. Secondly, everyone I've talked to refuses to touch it. They're like, we can't do anything when a judge is committing a felony. Like every attorney I've tried to get straight up said that they can't do anything because the judges involved are breaking the law and they can't control a judge. So no one will touch it and no one can do anything about a judge. The attorney general needs to do something.
You were betrayed by the lawyer you did have, so.
My original lawyer, yes. Stephanie Holan helped them in kidnapping my children. She absolutely did. And she charged me over $10,000 to do it.
God. And Millie, she said, sorry I brought up ethnicity. When I read his last name, I was like, I know what the fuck, dude. Or like, she said, I was like, what the fuck, dude? No, it's okay. Don't be sorry. I just don't want to upset anybody. But we have spoke about, I have, a little bit. Because, culture, but he's American, so, but he was raised.
He's American.
It might play a little bit. I don't know.
He was just raised by a very selfish, manipulative mother, and then by a man who hates women. I mean, his father has been remarried, I think, 8 or 9 times. The running joke in the family is that Randy can't even get married in Texas anymore because he's been married and divorced so many flipping times.
Yeah,
So-
this is really, really important, actually.
My family's never divorced, by the way. I fully believe in family. Like, I would never have divorced Nick. He left me. And I think that does play into what he's doing to me right now. Like, he watched his mom go through 2 divorces, and then he watched his dad go through like 8 or 9. So
this is really important about don't contact Nick. Do not contact his work, especially because
he can't hurt my case. I just want to put that out there. I wouldn't call. I don't know where he works. So there's no point. I mean, he is connected to Northrop Grumman, and I would highly encourage people to write them or email them about this because he should no longer have a top security clearance. That's an FBI issue.
He told me not to bring up his work. Okay.
Sorry. Oh no, that's fine. And again, it doesn't matter because he has a top security clearance. Petitions don't work. I did have a petition. It got signed by a bunch of people. They don't care. Again, these are judges who are breaking the law. So no petition is going to convince a judge to tell on themselves. Fortunately.
My daughter, who I raised alone, is half Portuguese. I'm not saying all of anyone is anything, but I have been told about machismo by more than 10 Hispanic women in very close, intimate settings.
Maximo. Basically womanizers. I will say that that's a common thing in Latin culture, unfortunately. But that's also a common thing in most cultures. Like, men just are superior to women in a lot of countries, or they're considered superior.
Judah says, don't give up fighting. And this is also what Sarah said. It's all about the money. Follow the money trail. So
I don't think my situation personally is about the money, but I think the cover up is the money. I think that, as I said, Mary Beth Adcock, his mother, rubs elbows with all these people. She's friends with them, does lunches, helps them with their campaigns. It was originally done as a favor, and now it's being covered up because of money. Because if this is exposed, they're going to have to look at other cases these judges have touched.
okay, I guess I could play a little bit at one of the other hearings before, because we're going on almost 2 hours, and we said we were going to try to do just 2 hours.
Yeah. So does anybody have last minute questions?
But I want people to be able to keep it short enough that people will, take a look at this. Sarah, do you have a GoFundMe I could post to help with court costs?
Well, I will not be paying any court costs. That $20,000 fine, they can shove it up their rear end because it is unlawful. It is void. It is perjury. So whatever court costs that they have assigned to me, and I've already filed, it's called an affidavit of indigency. And that means, because right now I am not working. I do struggle with PTSD. I have a hard time holding down a job now, especially with trying to get this out. So I appreciate it, but I don't know what to do with the money yet. And there's no attorney. If, something opens up and money is needed, I'll definitely open a GoFundMe, but I don't want to just collect money from anyone unless it goes to a specific purpose.
Yeah, until you have.
Yeah, because I have no idea what I would do with it.
First, you need somebody to listen.
All I need is the law enforced. Genuinely, that's all that's needed. An attorney general officer has to look at this case and be like, oh, they messed up. Or the state commission has to look at this case and say, oh, they messed up. The state commission and the attorney general are the two main law enforcement agencies that should be doing something that refuse to.
Before you play it, Ziggy, wait, what, Millie? God bless Sarah and your boys. Oh, that's so sweet. And Okie, you need to get a hold of Sarah because you sound like I love Sarah, says Okie.
Oh,
what an amazing woman and mother Sarah is.
We don't have to go through all that. It's fine.
Oh, she said, Millie said, before I play anything,
call the attorney general and say, hey, Sarah Pike, and they all know my name. So remember that any person you talk to who pretends they don't know, they've been receiving the evidence for over 6 months. So if they're like, oh, we have no idea, that's not our problem, she needs to call the DA. I've talked to the DA, I've talked to the sheriff. The district attorney's office, David Hudson, who is the assistant to the district attorney, Sharon Wilson, He actually got the evidence, and I called him, and he laughed at me. He's like, "Oh, I just have the evidence in case you sue the sheriff because he won't file a criminal complaint." Because I had filed criminal complaints, and the sheriff literally threw him out and sent them to the district attorney's office. And the district attorney was like, "Ha ha, go get an attorney." Like, these people do not care. These people are true evil.
Yeah.
In Texas. So it's the Texas Attorney General that is assisting the judges in covering this up. I will let her know, but again, I don't want to take money from anyone. You know, God has blessed my husband with a pretty good job, and he's able to take care of all of our needs. And if I raise any money, I want it to be for a specific purpose, and I want to keep that really transparent. So, you know, God hasn't led me to make one yet. Or the Texas Rangers. Harass the Texas Rangers or the Attorney General. Both of them should be able to do something if you want to. Not harass. Sorry, harass is the wrong word. I shouldn't have said that. But, you know, ask them to enforce the law. That's literally all they have to do is enforce the law. I'd be happy to send them a list.
I don't know about writing a letter to the president, but
I think that Biden and Kamala Harris have enough of their own drama.
I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe if hopefully this gets to, you know, the right people, then, you know, maybe eventually that would help.
I mean, we just need to make it clear that these are all Texas Republicans. And that's the thing that gets hit me the most. Like, people think that Democrats are evil and Republicans are good, or vice versa. And the problem is that it's just people. And there are Republicans who are nasty people trafficking children, and there are Democrats that are nasty people trafficking children. This isn't about politics. But it should be clear that these are all Republican judges choosing to traffic children. This is a Republican district attorney. This is a Republican sheriff. So all these people are presenting as Republican, not Democrats.
It's not a race thing. It's about upbringing.
He was taught that his shit didn't stink. Like, he was what's known as the golden child.
What an evil lady.
No, she needs to be in prison. She doesn't need to retire. She's running. So her retirement, she's taking money and running and getting away with all of these children that she's hurt. I hope she at least gets investigated. If she retires, she gets away with hurting hundreds of children.
I think Sarah probably agrees that Cruz is useless.
Cruz is intentionally avoiding the issue because he makes money off of it. So the reason all of these elected officials, because everybody's like, who cares about your case? And it's not about my case. It's about all of these cases that they've actively covered up that could potentially be exposed all at once, which is what they're really afraid of. And Ted Cruz is getting money in his pocket. The Attorney General actually announced that 60% of federal funding goes right through his office. He brags about it. So because of that, and all that money goes out to the counties, it goes to the state of Texas, it goes to the senators, it goes everywhere, not to mention special interest groups that pay them under the table. Yeah, Cruz is absolutely part of it.
When's this here? The one I have up on the screen, when's this hearing from?
That was the last one. So as you can see in the middle, that is John Passmore, who I am now going to call a child trafficker. So he sits there and he watches me prove third-degree aggravated perjury. He watches me prove child kidnapping and trafficking. And they all acknowledge that Christina Borum admits to perjury. And then they just drop everything and he sits there and goes along with it. And then he files into my case protecting Judith Wells for her decision. So he's a very bad man.
All right, well, let's take another 5-minute break and watch a little bit of this. And then we'll talk a little bit and then.
Okay.
We're already at 2 hours. I don't want to keep you forever.
Well, I don't have anywhere to go. So if anybody's interested, but you don't have to keep running it. So whatever you want to do.
Okay. We'll watch a few minutes of this.
As 2016, and in her motion specifically, she objects to actions that took place in 2018. And this was significantly before the final trial that was held before Judge Catterton, in which testimony was taken and a final judgment was entered once again on March 29th of 2019. And so for those reasons, while I'd be happy to take testimony from Ms. Leyva, I would ask that her 5 motions, or rather the amended motion that was filed yesterday, be denied and that attorney's fees be awarded.
All right, Mr. Passmore, do you have any argument on this?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything further, Ms. Leyva?
Absolutely. First of all, what she says is untrue and insufficient. By law, anytime fraud is found, there is absolutely no statutory limit to fraud. There's no statutory limit to third-degree perjury. Additionally, at that time that she is speaking, I had two attorneys. One attorney removed himself from the case after the jurisdiction hearing, which again was blatantly biased, which I do provide records of. And I also hired Lindsay Newell after the final order, and I had requested her to adjust the perjury. However, instead she canceled my appeal and took wage for disservice. I found out later that she had gone to college with Miss Lindsay Newell and they were personal friends and operated together in order to have my children removed. I, however, will move forward without any further testimony. I will stick straight with the facts as well as the paperwork, just because testimony is unnecessary. So as I just previously stated and we went over, motion for enforcement of possession or access of order, both violations were intentional third-degree perjury and need to be struck from the record because they hold no bearing or merit in regards to our mediated settlement. The second one that she filed was petition to modify parent-child relationship, which she also filed on August, which she actually filed on August 22nd. And this is also another issue. Oh no, August 21st. So she filed motion for enforcement and petition to modify parent-child relationship also on August 21st of 2018, despite our mediated settlement. And again, this was ratified by a judge in the same day without any reference to our mediated settlement, the law, or any evidence. So she stated in the modification that I removed the children from the state of Texas and that was a violation of our mediated settlement. However, in her request to change parent-child relationship in the modification of prior order, she requested that the order include, on page 3 of 6, include a geographic restriction because there was none. She requests a geographic restriction of Tarrant County, Texas, and counties contiguous to Tarrant County, Texas.
Your Honor, may I?
You may.
Thank you. First and foremost, I would object to the continued testimony with allegations of perjury and fraud, not to mention child trafficking, not to mention the allegations that the court and the attorneys in this case are involved in a cartel. There has not been any admissible evidence presented to support claims, on top of which I would renew my argument that all of the issues that are being complained of by Ms. Leyva today predated the last order. She is in fact correct that a mediated settlement agreement was signed and that it was reduced to an agreed final decree of divorce on January 29th of 2016. That order was not revoked. In fact, it was properly modified by the modification trial that was heard by Judge Catterton on February 22nd of 2019.
Hey, can you pause it for a second?
Then that became the controlling.
Yeah, 1 second.
Within that order, Judge Catterton granted my client.
Sorry.
So I just wanted to point this out really quick. She just committed perjury on the stand again. She stated that our non-revocable mediated settlement was degraded to a judicial contract. This is not true. I have never signed away any of my rights. I have never agreed to any modification of her non-revocable settlement. There has never been any modification. She is just stating that a judge ratified it, which does not take away the legality of the contract itself. So she just lied, basically. She's trying to make me look bad. She's trying to say that I agreed to lower it to something else. John Passmore is actually an attorney general official. He works for the attorney general, not the district attorney. So I had requested that they come in, but yeah, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, what she just said is an absolute lie. I only have the non-revocable mediated settlement. In no way have I ever allowed them to take any of my rights away or signed anything agreeing to make it whatever the heck she just tried to say it was.
Okay. All right. I'll play a couple more minutes and then I'll.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear.
No, anytime you need it paused to give context or
Okay.
reference or anything, just, say so.
Okay, I think that was the only thing that I don't talk about in the courtroom. And if you notice, they'll say I'm speaking too fast every time I'm quoting a law to try to interrupt my train of
well,
thought.
you're passionate. It's okay. I don't think you're. I don't know. I hear that. I heard him say that a lot in all the hearings. But
yeah, it was to interrupt me because they're trying to interrupt my train of thought because they're hoping I forget to say something or I give the wrong law or use the wrong reference. It's psychological warfare. They're just trying to trip me up.
all right, let's watch. Just let me know if you want me to pause it.
Okay, no, I think we're good.
The exclusive right to determine the primary residence of the children within Tarrant County. Shortly after that trial, Ms. Leyva exercised her first period of possession of the children. And during that period of possession, I suppose she determined that she would not return the children, which she did not. For 10 months. My client filed a subsequent enforcement, which is not being addressed by Ms. Leyva today, and which I believe we are still attempting to serve her with, which we were talking about at the last hearing, which I will happily address during the presentation of my motions. However, the allegations that children have been kidnapped and she's been denied any access to them is also not supported by any evidence. In fact, the order signed by Judge Tavares did grant her visitation. She simply has not exercised. I believe these motions were filed frivolously with the intent to harass my client, who's had to spend an inordinate amount of money to defend these hundreds of pages of motions that have been filed by Ms. Leyva. So once again, just in relation to the motions filed by Ms. Leyva and not the motions filed by myself, I would ask that the court deny them on the basis that they violate Rule 90 of the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, and she has waived her right to.
Objection, Your Honor. Can Ms. Bourne go over this when we are ready to address those issues? She has repeated these same things twice in a row now instead of just simply objecting. She needs to object as I present, not be a witness.
All right, I think I've heard enough on these motions.
Your Honor, this is inappropriate. For one thing, she just lied again. She said I had them after the final order, which I did because they never left the state of Virginia. However, I did not abscond with them. And that order was also fraudulent. Catterton stated that he thinks that we need to change custody without any statute or regulation backing it. He simply said that we had struggled with communication and that he hoped that by changing the jurisdiction and residency of my children and giving Nicholas Leyva making him custodian, again, without finding any fault with me or giving any statute backing his decision, said, this is how he put it. He said, I think, Nick, I better give Nicholas full custody in order to promote better communication. Since then, I have had no updates, no phone calls, no pictures, no response from Nicholas Leyva at all. I haven't even been able to verify.
That's have anything to do with a motion to strike.
No, but I would like to continue with my motions to strike, ma'am. All right, so as we all know, the motion for enforcement, again, there were 2 perjurious violations that were never violations, which is against my constitutional rights. Petition to modify child-parent relationship supports this because she requests that the prior order be modified to include geographic restriction of Tarrant County, even though she claims it was a restriction already in her original filing.
Your Honor, as multiple motions have been filed.
Ms. Borum.
I ask that Ms. Leyva specifically identify the dates of the filings that she's referring to.
All right, Ms. Morton.
Absolutely. I actually started with that because that's part of the problem of why it's so fishy. The motion for enforcement was filed 08/21/2018 and then was signed by Judge Matthew Reek on the exact same day. And then again, petition to modify parent-child relationship was also filed on August 21st, 2018. Again, without any chance to respond, without having any copies. And in my opinion, this exemplifies vexatious litigation to the extreme. And additionally, an intentionally trying to defraud the courts, because they defraud the courts. They have built an entire case on defrauding the courts, and not a single one of any of their documents have ever had specific facts or evidence to back any of their claims.
Okay. Oh, I could see how pissed you get on these. Or your face gets red in this one when she interrupts you.
It's because they're just lying. They're just it's so frustrating just to listen to them lie over and over again. And I'm stating a fact, and I'm using references. By the way, it's not testimony. They keep trying to say, "Oh, we'd hear your testimony." It's not testimony. It's a fact backed up by court records and documentation. So I'm providing evidence, and they're trying to say that they can't hold it. Oh, this is recusal. So this is David Evans, the ones that she's about to show. He is a top judge, so he's over all the other judges. And honestly, I think he's the worst because he gaslights me here. He's like, "I'm so sorry for what you've been through. I'm going to review all the evidence." And then he goes off screen without making a final judgment. And he sends me an email saying, "Oh, I will not recuse Judith Wells." And that was it. So he lies on screen. He pretends to care to look good on Zoom because he is a top judge, and he's actually responsible for all the other judges trafficking children. He is the head honcho. So yeah, he fakes being kind and then sends an order in direct violation of my rights privately by email.
Yeah, I didn't finish watching this one. I just found this one today. I saw it in your email. I was like, "Oh crap, I didn't see this one." So I watched. He did sound like seem really nice at the beginning and stuff, but
nope, he's a liar. He's trying to look nice. The other hearing I had with him, he actually canceled last minute. He canceled the hearing last minute and then removed himself as a judge from my case.
So once again, he also doesn't give you his judgment here.
He'll send it by email afterwards. He wanted to make sure he looked good on camera because he knew it was a publicized hearing.
This poor mother, right? I know. It's horrible. She doesn't like when I say it, but it's abuse.
It is absolutely abuse. I agree.
All right. Well, is there a place in this you want me to start, or
I really don't know. I'm sorry. It's really traumatizing, and so I'll watch them and then like immediately forget different parts because my brain is just like, "No, can't handle it. We're gonna forget it."
Yeah, I haven't seen all this, so we'll just watch a couple minutes. We'll see what it's about here.
So not only was this post never made, there's also a requirement when it comes to sealing of records that it is an open hearing in which the public is able to address these issues. This was not made available either, as well as the movement shall file and identify the movement and shall immediately provide notice with a verified copy posted to the clerk pending the hearing, and this was also not done. Additionally, as I said, due process of filings was not met in accordance with local rules. And then we have the issue where Ms. Catherine Borum as well as Lindsay Newell are right now named defendants in a federal investigation in relation to alleged sexual abuse, perjury, as well as harm to minor children. Now, Miss Honorable Judith Wells is not a named defendant in this federal hearing due to her supposed judicial immunity. However, she has a personal vested interest in protecting Ms. Borum as well as Lindsay Newell due to the investigation of all of these things occurring in her courtroom over the space of almost 5 years or about 5 years. I'm not sure specifically how long they were in this courtroom. Lastly, Ms. Judith Wells, though having had 3 requests to vacate the final order due to intrinsic fraud and extrinsic fraud, which the opposing counsel did not deny. They did not deny the fraud in the last hearing. Rather, they stated it occurred before the final order. However, any fraud in a procurement of a final order is then void. And the judge who issued the order was not acting within his judicial capacity, was rather acting in I hate to use this word, but it's the exact word of the statute. They are working in treason to the American public. Additionally, there's no statutes of limitation on fraud. So for Ms. Borum to state the fraud occurred before the final order just basically reestablishes what I have been trying to communicate with the judiciary for over a year and a half. And Ms. Judith Wells had no interest. She simply stated, when I mentioned all of the laws in regards to sealing the records as well as in due process of filing, she stated, I'm going to have this hearing anyway. And then without giving any type of judicial decision, she chose to cut it short and then provide an email with her ruling, which was, again, insufficient and completely outside of the realm of judicial responsibility due to her blatant bias throughout the entire hearing and her completely ignoring federal laws, state laws, and local civil rules, Your Honor. Thank you.
Warren, do you have a response you want to state? You're muted, Miss Borum.
So
I
she's
apologize,
reading.
Your Honor. Yes,
she's
if I
reading
could have
text
leave
again,
of court to
just so
make
you
a
know.
brief responsive
She's talking to
argument.
Lindsay Newell, probably.
You can.
All right, thank you. I'd like to address Ms. Leva's.
Sorry about that. So
No, I was just saying that Borum was, again, even though Lindsay Newell is not in the hearing, she's still very much feeding Borum what to say and what to do. So every little pause, every time she goes off screen, she's contacting someone. I don't know if it's specifically Lindsay Newell.
to do that? Well,
You can't do it with a judge. She can probably do it with co-counsel, but I'm not sure. I know for a fact that you can't do it with a judge. So when she and Lindsay Newell are texting and communicating with Judith Wells in my other hearings, that is a felony that all of them are committing. However, I don't know if there's a law between texting another attorney, especially if they're still considered to be part of the case.
okay. All right. Well, I'm going to continue just for a couple more minutes, if that's okay.
Oh, no. Sorry.
No, it's
This
fine.
is
No,
motion
it's
and
fine.
then the contents of the motion. I received her amended motion this morning. First is, of course, the court knows that under 18A, the statute, the rule rather, that deals with the recusal of judges, that the motion must be verified. And I would point out that Ms. Leva's motion is not verified. She does, however, assert grounds that are contained in 18B. Specifically, she asserts that she believes that Judge Wells' impartiality may be questioned. And also she asserts that the judge has personal bias in this case. Of course, there must be details submitted to the court that are within the affiant's personal knowledge. And if in fact they're based on information and belief, then the underlying facts must be specifically stated and be admissible in evidence. I do not believe that that burden has been met in this case.
Ms. Borum,
Yes.
the amended motion's not set.
Yes, sir. Then I'll be happy to go off of the original motion.
Here's the problem. Even an amended motion has to be presented to Judge Wells for her review. You can't just amend them because a judge is supposed to look at the complete motion and know what they're recusing themselves over. And so the amended motion's not before us at this time. We'll have to send it to Judge Wells to be considered, and then we'll see what Judge Wells does with that motion. Right now, we only have this motion before us. Therefore, I have your written response on it. But if you want to offer argument that goes outside your written response, then I will probably curtail you because all you've done is deny it. You haven't stated in your written response any issues with the presentation of the motion.
Yes, Your Honor. Would I have leave of court, please, to address the issues that are within the first request?
No, because I asked for a written response. And a general denial of the facts is not sufficient to put Ms. Pike on notice of the deficiencies in her motion.
Yes, Your Honor. May I respond to the statements that she made outside of the motion in her presentation?
What would you be doing? Testifying and saying, here, I don't believe that's what happened? You want to be a witness?
No, Your Honor, I don't want to be a fact witness, but I did want to address the hearing that she was referring to in the motion to seal.
Become a fact witness.
All right, yes, Your Honor.
The proof is either sufficient. Now, the reason that I think that a general denial does not work on this issue is that 18A and B are very specific about pleading specificity of grounds. And when you seek sanctions and you respond to it, you should use equal specificity to say why the motion should be denied. Just as you started to do with the amended motion by saying it wasn't verified. But that's why I asked for a written response. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the motion is either granted or falls based upon her presentation and the status of the law with regard to these matters and whether she has put on sufficient grounds for recusal under Texas law. And that's all there is to it. Now, that's pretty much where we are.
Yes, sir.
If you, the issue that we have before us, and this is the one that I want Ms. Pike to be aware of, is that one issue that I want Ms. Pike to be aware of is that she may want to look at Rule 76A and make a determination.
I don't know if you wanted me to continue. I was sorry, I was reading emails, so.
No, it's fine. Basically, he's just gonna make a bunch of bull BS. Basically, he just goes on to say that, like, I tell him the same thing I said in the other hearings. I say I have no contact with my children. I go very specifically over how they're biased and how they're connected to a federal lawsuit, because there is a federal lawsuit against Christina Borum and Lindsay Newell for placing children intentionally with a pedophile. And he just placates me. I mean, you don't have to watch it. Honestly, it makes me super sick if other people want to watch it, because he just sits there and acts like he cares. And he pretends to feel sorry for me. And then he's like, oh, my hands are tied. There's not much I can do about this. Like, he just lies. I think that's all he does. He just sits there and tries to cover his butt and make it look like there's nothing he can do and that it's everyone else's fault. It's probably the most frustrating hearing for me.
That one was the worst one for you think?
Yeah, because he just gaslit me. Like, and he tried to give me false hope. That's one of the things they'll do, is they'll like give me false hope, and then they rip the rug out from underneath me and they think I'll quit. So that's what he does. He gives false hope.
I just wanted to play a little bit of all this just to give,
of course,
context to the situation. Even, but I'm going to put the links to everything in the description so people can research this themselves. And, when they have time to, watch all these hearings, they're, about, 40 minutes long, 30, 40 minutes long each. And obviously, I'll lose everybody if I keep playing all of them, the whole thing. I wanted to,
yeah.
But I was saying that. Sorry, I was reading. We ever heard Nick's voice? Everyone is fighting his battle. This is not about the boys. This is Nick trying to hurt Sarah for whatever.
Absolutely.
Nick thinking Nick has.
No, this is absolutely true, and this is proven through our entire marriage. Anytime I went against him for anything, I was threatened. He told me that I didn't contribute to the house at all. That's one of his favorite things to say, was that I was lazy. Like, I was raising a newborn baby and a toddler and cleaning and making dinner. But because I didn't have a job, I wasn't contributing, and that I owed my entire life to him, and I better be thankful. And kidnapping the children has been a very, very consistent threat since the very beginning. When I first got pregnant with Josh, we weren't married, and I was thinking about leaving him because he had already shown that he was abusive towards women, but I was 19 and I was scared. And he told me, he's like, if we're not together, then I'm going to make sure that I take Josh and you never see him again. I'm going to make sure that you have nothing to do with raising him. And part of why I married him was because I didn't want any children I had to be alone with him. It was all control. My 5 years of my marriage was all control. And, you know, he followed through with his threat. I haven't seen my children in almost 2 years, and he's been threatening it for almost a decade. And finally accomplished it. But again, he shouldn't have been able to. Like, Nick being a horrible person has nothing to do with what the courts have done. You know, he wouldn't have been able to do this on his own. The responsibility lies mostly on the judges and on Lindsay Newell, in my opinion.
And I am going to be putting the link to the documentary. I'm going to be putting a link to everything. Somebody asked if I put the documentary link in the.
Yeah.
I definitely will. Like, I'm going to be adding those. It's gonna take me, like, I don't know. They'll probably be there within 20 minutes after we stop here shortly. But it's because I have to, you know, there's a lot to add. So, Sarah, you had the biggest job of all, raising your babies. Yeah. Sad. Well, we went over a lot in 2 hours. It's a lot, guys. I'm sorry. I know it's a lot I'm just now, the first day or two, I was kind of very confused. I'm still kind of confused, but I understand a lot more now of what Sarah's going through. And, you know, this should never have got to this point. And then reporting her TikTok and Twitter because I'm sure it was them. Oh, I don't know what happened. She was just, I don't know how
I'm sure it was.
You think it was them?
Well, who is them at this point? I mean, I've literally made enemies with the entire state of Texas. So I don't know if it's the attorneys or if it's one of the public officials I've gone after and been like, don't vote for them. They cover up child trafficking. I've literally pissed off every level of government and law enforcement in the state of Texas now. Not intentionally, but just, you know, I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to leave it alone. And if you're going to continue to hold my children and deny the Constitution, which we're still under, we're not socialized yet, you know, I'm going to cause problems. And I just want to see my babies again. You know, I think it's stupid for them. They caused this. I didn't go into Texas. I didn't, you know, ask for any of this. And even when this first started, I asked Nick, I was like, would you like me to sign away child support? He was only paying like $400 a month. I don't need it. So I was like, you don't need to pay child support. Can we come up with an agreement where you have more visitation? Like, I tried everything. I have contacted Mary Beth Adcock time and time again for the last 3 years, you know, just asking, hey, can we come up with a deal? Like, how do we make this work? You know, I even considered moving to Texas to try to co-parent and go to 50-50. And the way I was attacked and accused, it just made that impossible. I can't go to another state where someone wants to control every moment of my life and use my children to hurt me. I just can't. I can't live that way. I think I'd go crazy. And I shouldn't have to.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, Nancy says, those words sound like a form of domestic violence and he had help from someone. Oh, no. Oh, no, she's frozen. Dang it. Of course, right at the end. But, oh, there you are. There you are. You're there. There was a specific abuse episode. I call it that because there would be days that he would rail on me and son. I was on the bedroom floor.
Yeah, that's abuse. I'm so sorry.
He had help from the entire system. Yeah, that's what she's claiming. What she's alleged. I'm saying claiming or alleging just because, you know, just saying my
channel.
Yeah. Fight on, Sarah. Many people are behind you, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm sad that I know that this is not like true crime. You know, really like.
I mean, it's more than true crime. I mean, they're just elected officials doing it.
Crime and I know this isn't a Summer Wells case that we all watch and stuff, but you know, this is important. And I'm hoping that, you know, the ones that were here to watch this will help get the word out. And I hope that Q Carlock is able to have Sarah on too, and also maybe Chasing Justice that was in here earlier, you know, I just feel bad. I hate ending this now because I feel like I want a solution for you, and it's like, gosh, if your hands are tied, then I mean we can help getting the word out, but
I mean, I think this is a solution. I mean, I told you the day before when we first talked that I had prayed about what to do next, and God had said podcast, and I was like, how do I get on a podcast? And He reached out to me because of something that Q Carlock had posted that I didn't even know she knew about. So, I think God is working, and that this is much bigger than my case, and that the only solution is going to be a public outcry. Like, everybody just needs to start talking about Tarrant County. People need to be like, we're done. You can't traffic any more children. These elected officials need to be held accountable for their actions. And I think it'll happen. I think that there's a lot of change in Texas, and there's a lot of eyes on it, and that God's gonna do something that we don't imagine. And that's how I hold on. Like, God promises that whatever we lose, He gives back tenfold if we choose to put our faith in Him. So someday, somehow, I'm gonna look back on this and be like, God, thank you for that experience. I can't imagine that right now, but someday.
That's why I told you there has to be a reason for why you're going through this right now. A bigger picture, a bigger, purpose. There has to be.
Well, there's just so many children.
What was that?
There's just so many of them. I mean, when you post the article, you'll see, and those are just the families that were willing to speak out. There are hundreds of people terrified to speak out because they get arrested, they lose their businesses, they lose their homes. It's great for me because I'm in Virginia, and even though I'm targeted, none of the police can come get me. You can't really cross state lines with a civil warrant. If they could have, I'm sure they would have by now. So I can be louder than the parents that are in Texas that constantly have, police outside their house stalking them, because that happened to one. One parent actually had a camera that was installed right outside of their house by the courts watching them. So I'm free from that because I'm in Virginia. So hopefully my story will help a lot of other children too. And that's the main goal. Like, at this point, I've been through too much. I'm like, God, it's not enough to get my kids home. It's just not. Like, you have to bring all these kids home. You have to change this. It's not worth it if He doesn't change it. Or at least not to me.
Yeah. And Q says she's going to be getting a hold of you later today or tomorrow. Yeah. Hopefully setting something up for Thursday, if that. And Oki is like, keep fighting, Sarah. Please don't give up. I hope people watch the replay. Praying for you. Oh, you might change laws. That would be
well.
amazing.
The point is, no laws need to be changed except judicial immunity. So everything that I've talked about, there's a law for. The problem is that there's no enforcement of the law. So they're breaking Texas statutes. They're breaking federal laws. There are laws to protect me and my children. They're just not being enforced. So if any law needs to change, we need to remove all immunity from judges. If you commit a crime, you should be charged with it. Period. It doesn't matter what your position is. So, but no, it's easy. If we can just find a person to enforce the law, my children come home like that. Because the law states that they should be with me. Aww.
But a strong, amazing woman. The love of her boys just explodes out of her. Yeah, she loves her kids.
I do love my kids.
That's what's keeping her, driving her, Let's do it, Sarah. She's been on this. Oh gosh, guys. If you got any of you guys contact her, I'm gonna put her email in the, let me write down your email because I'm gonna put it in the,
or you can also find me on Facebook. It's Facebook.com/Sarah.Pike89. I am shadow banned, so you have to specifically look for me. But if you find me, you can message me if you want. That's an easy way to get a hold of me if you want to have more of a conversation. If you want to have a phone call conversation, I'm also more than willing to set that up as well to answer any further questions. I will talk to anyone.
She's completely open. She'll share everything with you and all her proof and all. Even stuff that might not even look so good for her. She's completely open. And so if anybody can get anything done, definitely contact her. That'd be awesome. And immunity for all public. That's what I feel like too.
Yeah.
even the president. I don't think there should be immunity for if the president breaks the law. Like, but doesn't make sense. But all right, hon, I'll let you go. And you have a lot of support here, and I hope that we covered all the everything that you wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think we got most of it. And again, if there's any questions, I'll answer them in the back run.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you go. And thank you guys so much for watching. You know, all you guys stuck through all, you know, the ones that were here from the beginning for 2.5 hours. So that is so appreciated. We figured we'd be a couple hours. So, but for the ones that have been here, thank you guys so much. And thank you so much, Sarah. And
Thank
God
you,
bless
Ziggy.
you and your boys. Oh my God. Let's just pray that something changes and soon. Please, God, like, please let this change for her family, her and her parents soon, and her husband. So, all right. Bye, guys. Bye, Sarah.
Bye.